Yeah, it's just something like I looked at my life and I looked at my wife like I did something right. Look, I'm not switching my price. Baby, I know what I'm worth. I be like, they got it Monday. I get to get back to work.
Dude, how do I make fun of you and say this funny? Dude, it was annoying how many messages I got the last episode we recorded together. Like, oh my gosh, your brother-in-law's so cool. I want to meet him. He's the coolest guy ever. I was like, yo, bro, shut up. I know he's cool, but just chill out. So yeah, without, dude, a lot of people are going to be really, really excited to have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it too. It was fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it.
Dude, it was fun. It was just like everybody was like, man, hey, why don't you give him the podcast and shut up and just let him talk? I was like,
it's not even like that. We just vibe good. Because it was like, even on the car ride here, I was like, I wish we were recording right now because we were just going back and forth talking about stuff. And I'm like, man, not that like we're anything special or we just like vibe well and kind of like counter. Like a lot of times when we run into conflict, you just deal with it a lot differently than me, but not one is better than the other, but we just like come to a resolution. So I feel like we come to a resolution on the podcast well.
Dude, that's really hard for me because like I've told this story before, but it's like I strive to be clear. Like I'm trying to be clear on my opinion or my thought. By no means do I think my opinion or thought is right. But so I will say things extreme to like make the point clear.
Right.
Like just the easy low hanging fruit example is whenever I'm like, I hate Michael Jordan. I love LeBron James.
Right.
I don't hate Michael Jordan. Like I told the story on Instagram the other day, dude, I was at Panera. Bridget was doing something. I took the boys out to Panera for dinner, and I could hear the people in the back. It was like a bunch of young teenagers, like, cooking or whatever. And this guy was like getting pissed, and he's like, Michael Jordan, you don't know who Michael Jordan is? And there was seriously like 5 people behind the line. They're like, no idea. And they're like, if Michael Jordan walked through the door right now, you wouldn't know the GOAT basketball player. And dude, they were like, you mean Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James? They knew everybody else. And this guy was just like, the dude on Space Jam. And they were like,
gosh.
oh,
What?
like that guy.
That was real?
Dude, it was so real. And that's whenever like you could see in their face where they were like, they didn't know who this guy was. They're probably not big basketball fans either, But
that's like cultural though.
But so somebody was saying like, so if Michael Jordan walked in, you wouldn't say hi? You're damn right I would say hi.
Right.
I would freak out, dude. I'm not an idiot, But to say that I'm Team LeBron, I make these very bold statements. And you're the opposite. You try to tiptoe into something to not hurt somebody's feelings, which is good. And I'm like, bro, I'm just hurting everybody's feelings.
Right. It's just how we deal with conflict and stuff. And it's like, once people get to know you, they know that you're not actually like that, but it makes for a good Instagram reel, Nobody's tuning into my Instagram stories.
Yeah, right, dude. Everybody wants to know. Like I said when I started out, man, everybody was impressed by you, your perspective, your mindfulness, your journey of health, all that kind of stuff. What the heck are you doing back in Kansas City from Portland?
So I just got out of the military. Well, my official last day is going to be August 10th. But did 10 years of service and now I'm done. We were trying to get stationed in Hawaii. It wasn't going to happen. And so we're like, let's just take this into our own hands, move to Hawaii. Plus COVID was like really good to our family as far as the fitness business because, which I was kind of just dipping my toes in last time we had the podcast. So that's up and running now. We're doing nutrition coaching, fitness coaching. It's kind of turned into a life coaching program that we're coming up with a curriculum for, and we're taking on clients. So I have a few clients now. We're in Kansas City because we are moving all of our keepsakes back to Kansas City before we head to Hawaii, which is, I'm going to go to school to study counseling out in Hawaii. So we're trying to just build up our arsenal with as many tools as we can. I feel like I got a good grasp on, on the mindfulness, on the fitness, on the nutrition, and now like kind of the last piece of that would be like emotional health, which I'm going to go to school for counseling, and we're just going to put that all together and kind of come up with a really cool product.
So when you said that COVID or 2020 was good for your family and good for your business, like what do you mean by that?
So, and I feel bad saying this because I know a lot of people went through a really hard time during COVID, but for us, it gave us an opportunity to reflect and kind of determine what our values were and find that some of the things that we were chasing after weren't really within what we wanted to accomplish. And so for me, just speaking personally, my values are always going to be faith, family, health, and humility. And so what I was chasing in the Coast Guard world wasn't what I actually wanted to be doing. And so during COVID, we just did a lot of reflection, a lot of family time, and we found that we wanted to go full in with our business Host.
And like when you say reflection, like what are you talking about? Are you talking about like you and your wife Indy, like sitting Indian style with candles lit, like
Native American style? I'm Native American, bro. Come on, no, I'm just joking.
Is sitting Indian style an offensive term?
In Portland, yeah.
In Portland, yeah.
In Portland.
That's so funny. What else would you call that? How do you
cross-leg, crisscross applesauce?
Crisscross applesauce.
Yeah,
I mean, no offense at all meant to anyone Native American saying sitting Indian style. But yeah, what does reflection mean?
I listen to a lot of podcasts and on mental health and stuff, and they're always talking about having business meetings with your spouse or sit downs. And I always thought it was kind of cheesy. I'm like, me and Indy are just friends. Like we just talk about stuff in the day to day, but like actually being intentional and like having like a weekly or a weekly quick sit down or a quarterly little longer term, like, and just looking at what you want to change about your life, like looking at the trajectory you're on and being like, what are some things that we can practically implement that are going to help reshape what we're trying to create here. You get what I'm saying?
Dude, no, totally. And I mean, I was just asking that question because I mean, me and Bridget have those same conversations. Right. And I think a lot of times I say things like, if you were going to dream, what would the next 5 years look like? Like if you were going to close your eyes, I do say that.
It can be fun, like, I love talking about it.
What in 5 years would you just love to have accomplished or experienced or achieved? Like what is it? One thing. And it does stoke about a lot of conversations, and it kind of can get you to think like, well, what are we doing to pursue that? Or what are we not doing? Because the truth is, like, if you did that right now, it's probably some lofty goals. Like moving, like, for example, like, hey, we want to really move to Hawaii and embrace that type of lifestyle. It's like, man, that ain't happening next week.
No.
Meaningful goals take time. Mm-hmm. And so to have those kinds of conversations, even just open you up to, well, am I taking the steps to do that?
Right.
Or not? And so for you, two things: getting out of the military was one step, and then also kind of really pursuing. So talk business wise, like what during 2020 and COVID, like, and you're exactly right, dude. 2020 and COVID was extremely hard on a lot of people.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you can just think your way out of a bad situation, but I think for a lot of people, it was a lot of perspective. How am I going to make the most out of this? If you're at quarantine and you're at lockdown and you just hate your spouse and you're pissed and you don't want to play Monopoly and, you're throwing a fit, it's probably terrible. Right. But if you did, reflect and say, hey, I want to embrace playing Settlers of Catan with my kids. Hey, I do want to go on walks. Hey, I do want to do these things. What can I do? And I'm going to go all in on that. I think is really important.
Yeah.
And so I just want to kind of hear, like, business wise, like with your fitness, what's the name of it?
Host. So Host, we started doing just nutrition and fitness coaching. And what I found over COVID especially was a lot of people's fitness goals or just health goals are held back by their lack of emotional health or mental health, and like how they view food or how they view workouts or what kind of past trauma they had. And so like over the pandemic, that was really brought to the surface because like a lot of people were in a dark space. And so with my clients and everything, I started like kind of just asking questions that were like more, how are you doing emotionally? How are you doing? And then that kind of helped get them on track with their fitness and nutrition goals. And so over COVID, business wise, I mean, I didn't advertise at all. So I think at one point at I had like 9 clients, and which is a lot when you're like checking in, weekly, and it's it has like it plays a toll. So we're kind of like restructuring now of what it's gonna look like in the future. But over COVID, we just kind of threw it together and we're like, let's see if this works. And from November when I started it, and we did the podcast in November, right? Yeah. So that was right when I was starting, to now, it's really shown us that we can provide for our family this way. You know what I mean? And then we don't have to rely on the Coast Guard. And so that's what was cool over COVID is it gave me an opportunity to kind of test the waters because I was off of work. We were only working like, I wasn't off. We were supposed to be working remotely every other day. But you know what I mean?
Outed yourself, bro. Just outed yourself.
They're going to be after me now.
Dude, well, that's a really good thing that you said that I want to highlight a couple things. The first is that you can provide for yourself.
Yep.
And dude, one of the very first things I talk about in the Empowered People business cohort, which fourth company's coming sooner than later, is I'm like, hey, don't believe the lie that you're not going to make money for the first, when I started, they said the first 2 or 3 years in business, they were like, you're not going to make money. And when you say that to somebody, they think I'm not going to make a paycheck. I can't pay my bills. I can't start a company. What accountants mean when they say that is the business at the end with expenses and things like that, you're probably going to show like, you're not going to show a profit or it's easy to show a loss. And that's a tax game that everybody likes to like throw like hate on, but it's like, there's a tax game, but it's like, I made money day one. I made money week one. I don't know if I can say I made money day one. I made money week one. Single income, wife, 4 kids, I've got to make money. And even like you're saying, I think a lot of times people are so scared to pursue their dreams because they don't think they can provide for themselves. They can make money doing that. And it's like, you might not be able to make a ton of money. Maybe you do take a pay cut. Maybe you do have to cut some expenses, but that even makes me think about what you're saying about nutrition and fitness. Cause I'm sure you've said it to people, like you can't outwork your mouth.
Right.
Like a bad diet ruins all workouts. Right. And it's the same thing. Like if you have piss poor spending habits, if you're living way outside of your means, you probably aren't going to be able to take a risk and take a jump and take a pay cut and start your own thing and like tighten up that budget. If you've got to have the brand new car and you've got to have all the nice things, it's like, but if you learn how to tighten that down and you learn how to eat better, your fitness is a lot easier to see results. You following me?
Right. Yeah. It takes sacrifice, you know, and I was super blessed, during COVID to have some girls, they'll know who they are, they'll probably listen, but that really believed in me out in Portland and wanted me to start programming for them. And so they kind of gave me the confidence to know that if I failed, they weren't, you know, going to hold me super accountable. So I was blessed to have that. Not everybody has that, but there always is a way, you know what I mean? They're like, not to sound cheesy, but there always is, where there's a will, there's a way. Like that's a real saying. And if you sacrifice, you know, if you really budget down and like get your account where you want it to be, like you can start something, you know, even if it's a side hustle at the beginning.
Dude, Luke Owen with Owen Homes. I think you've probably heard that story whenever, well, you know him, but whenever
I worked for him.
I went out to breakfast with him, you know, before I started Empowered. And that was his biggest piece of advice is he was like, hey man, if you don't have a budget, you need to get a budget right now to know what you need to make, like add up your bills. And when I say that, people go, well, what's the best app and software? No. I'm talking about a piece of paper. Mortgage, this much, electricity, this much, food, this much, like write it down. You don't need to be super fancy. Now, I'm sure there's better tools out there, but he's like, write it down and figure out what you need and like tighten it up a little bit more because you don't need all that. I remember him saying that. He's like, make your budget of what you need and then squeeze it. You don't need that much. And it's like, I think it's just to that bigger picture of like, hey, 5 years from now, what do you want? You know, like, what do you want? Is this advancement in this career? Like, then great. Or is it changing careers? Then great. Like, but you've got to start making baby steps. And probably one of the very first steps for professional success is get a budget. The first step on physical success is count your calories or like put together a nutrition plan. And like, do you mind even going into that? Cause it's like, dude, I hate meal preppers. Once again, dude, I say extreme things just to pick a side.
You hate
and
some.
I don't hate meal prep because every time I do meal prep, people like make fun of me. I'm talking about like, I'm just not one of those people that like love it, man. It's like, it is a chore for me. I would rather just literally open a can of Amy's organic chili and just eat that. Like I would rather do that every day than meal prep.
Yeah.
But what were some of the things that you told people like when it came to meal prep or food?
I think just knowing what you can withstand, you know, knowing what your goal is and then finding something that works for you. Like there's no one size fits all for health.
When it comes to food.
food or fitness. I don't think, like, you can't just tell someone, hey, you're going to be on the keto diet. Cause I had clients, some of which were eating pretty healthily, but they weren't where they wanted to be. And then I have some clients that were literally, eating like fast food 3 meals a day. And so it's like, you have to prescribe something different for everyone. And so I think just finding what works for you, like with the one that's eating like 3 fast food meals a day, it's let's try to eat a vegetable with every meal, and starting there and then just kind of building to what works for you. Like it has to be individualized. Like I've tried so many different diets over the years to like, now I'm to the point where I'm like kind of set in my ways. Like the past year, like me and Indy found our way of eating that works for us. But there's some people that it might look plant-based. It might look, is that kind of what you're asking? Like what?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, dude, if food is the most important thing, like you are what you eat. And like one thing that I've become keenly aware to is you feel how you eat. So it's like, I don't know that you are what you eat, but it's like, dude, when I eat like crap, I feel like crap. And when I feel like crap, I perform like crap. Yeah. And when I say perform, I mean selling jobs, convincing people to come work here, like all the types of things, like appealing to people in a disciplinary area. Like if I ate like crap and I've got to like talk to somebody about like why they're showing up late or how like some conduit they ran doesn't look very good, and I feel like crap, you think they're getting the kind, encouraging Josh? They're getting the like, hey, get your shit together or you're fired.
That's a main reason.
That's not good.
That's a huge reason why we started the company, is like, I wanted everyone to feel how I feel every day. Like I feel like I could go work out at any point in the day. Like I don't have a afternoon slump or, need a nap. And it's just because of what I'm putting into my body. And I'm like really strict about it. Not really strict. We still eat good and we'll have like a cheat here and there. But like for the most part, I'm taking care of what I'm putting in. So like my output is a result of that. Yeah. And with nutrition, I think like if people are looking for a quick tip out there, just find something that you're going to stick to, because it's all about consistency. If you do like, you hear about people doing Whole30 or 75 hard, and then it's like, what about the 76th day? What about the 31st day? Like what's happening after that? So find something that you can do for the rest of your life. But if it does take something like 75 hard or Whole30 or whatever to kickstart it, that's fine. Just be aware of that. Like kind of like what we're talking about here, goals. Have some sort of plan for what it's gonna look like after that. Don't go into it just nonchalantly like, I'm just gonna start this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. That 76 day is a mother trucker. That is for sure. And if you do need to pay attention to what you put in your body, that's why we put hop water in our bodies. Hop water is not yet a proud sponsor of the Empowered People podcast, but they will be, because we drink a lot of these. They come in mango, blood orange, and original. You can not use a coupon code EEKC because we don't have it yet. Hop water, figure it out, because we're going to keep repping you guys. So hop water, proud
Believers.
sponsor.
Dude, they're good. I've been drinking that. That's how because we did 75 hard with you, and that's how I kicked alcohol, was getting these. And dude, I just like having a drink at night, and I kind of realized it was more of a mental thing. It's funny how much like nutrition really is mental, because like you can kick drinking easily. Like it's more of the habit. Like it was just like, I just like to sit down with nice sour at night, but now it's a nice hot water.
Yeah, that is so true. That for me was ice cream, dude.
Yeah.
Those first 2 years of Empowered, when I was stressed out and I would just eat ice cream to make myself feel better. I think feel like crap afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is so crazy. And that's why it totally makes sense to me that you're going to pursue something in counseling, because it is like the way that we deal with food. And maybe it's because I'm an Enneagram 7 or whatever. I like experiences.
It's hard.
And so it's like, dude, I'm drawn to like comfort food and things like that.
Right.
It's a hard trigger to break for sure.
It is.
And it's like, I mean, I don't know if you have like a good little thing that you say to people, like, hey, when you're feeling really tempted and you want to grab a bowl of Cocoa Krispies late at night,
dude, just
remember why you started.
Well,
that doesn't always work though.
It's funny with 7s, because like you tend to not think of the consequences because you're just thinking about the experience. So you're not thinking of what's on the other end. But it's not just 7s. Like a lot of people function like that. And so I always just like I made a note, because when I was trying to quit drinking for good. Like, not that I had an issue, but just like, if I would have 2 beers, it would affect me the next day. I started to notice like my workouts wouldn't be as good. I'd feel a little more groggy in the morning just off 2 beers. And so I made like in my notes app on my phone or whatever, I just wrote like, why I don't like in the morning one time. Cause if you try to remember in the moment, it's not going to come to you because like, you're just like, oh, a beer sounds really good. But the next day you can write like, this is why I don't want to drink again. Like I didn't like my workout. I didn't like how in the morning I woke up late, so I couldn't do my morning routine, and just how much it affects you. And so I kept that in my, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to look at this every time that I want a beer. And so I just did that. I don't know.
Dude, I don't know if you pay attention to Jocko Willink at all.
Not really. I know him, but I haven't listened recently.
Dude, he's really good, but he said something in Extreme Ownership. He said, I remember how that felt.
Yeah.
And he was talking about like unprepared, out of control. Like he remembers how things feel. And it's like, that's what you're saying right now. Like, yo, do the workout, struggle, suck, throw up, and remind yourself, like, don't forget how this felt.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big lesson. So going into fitness, so, you know, food, find what works for you, try to make little steps, realize what's consistent. If you're going to jump on a fad, have a plan to keep it going for a lifestyle. When it comes to fitness, is it some of the same things, or like what is it?
Fitness is hard, man, because it's a lot of it is just, consistency and accountability. And like I tell my clients, if you don't have a plan, like a workout program to follow, and if you don't have someone to hold you accountable, and you don't keep your consistency, like those are the three most important things. So if you are missing one of those three, you're not going to get fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why CrossFit, that's why I'm such a fan of CrossFit, because of the accountability it brings so much accountability. Because like if you go to the 5 a.m. class every day, they're going to notice when you're not there. They're going to be shooting you texts. So that's why it's important to have a coach when you're first getting started. Unless you're just like the most mentally tough person in the world, you know what I mean? It's important to have a coach. Even I need little goals here and there to kind of keep me on track, because it's easy to go wayward when you don't have a goal. Even these last 2 weeks, I was in this, I was doing a CrossFit competition. It was 2 months ago.
The CrossFit competition.
Yeah, the CrossFit Open. I was trying to make quarterfinals. I was dealing with a back injury, so I ended up being like, you had to be in the top 10%, and I was like 10.12 or something ridiculous. You know what I mean? And so I didn't make it, which was probably good, because I probably would have hurt myself. But I used that as a goal to align my sights on something I was trying to accomplish. And it motivated me every day, because that alarm goes off at 5:30 in the morning. What's going to get you out of bed if you don't have a goal or somebody holding you accountable? Yeah. You know what I mean? Not much. And unless you just have some crazy willpower that most people don't have. So it's important to have, with fitness, it's important to have some sort of goal that you're following, someone to hold you accountable, and then a program that you're sticking to every day.
And do you have a lot of people? So what's been kind of frustrating to me in my fitness journey is, because like, I mean, I've gotten really back into it. Dude, my strength is going out of the world. Like, it's just getting stupid. Like yesterday, like I said, I bench pressed 275. My personal, I understand, like, dude, David Gertz just laughed. Aaron Lawrence just laughed at like 275. I repped that out, you pansy. For me, bench press was never a strong thing for me. The most I ever did was 285. Most of the workouts I know, I feel like, dude, most of the workouts I do are not burning fat and like lowering my weight. I'm just getting stronger and then gaining weight from muscle. I'm just getting pissed off at the world. All my lifts are going out of this world. So like, how do you tailor people whenever it's like somebody wants to lose weight? Some people want to like increase strength. I'm like, dude, I don't care about strength. I want waist size smaller, not biceps bigger.
Well, I was just telling Matt, it's funny because we were just talking. I'm like, as you build muscle, your metabolism runs faster. So like so us sitting here, you might be burning, you know, however many, like, this is off the wall, like 20 calories per hour or something.
I'll check my Apple Watch. I'll tell you.
20 calories per hour. The more muscle you build, you might get to a place where you feel like you're the same weight, but you have more muscle, and you might be building or burning 40 calories per, you know what I mean? So the more muscle you build, the more fat. I think it's just it's a longer process for some people. Everybody's body shape is different. And a lot of it is like, there's just a lot of factors with weight. It's not just fitness. You know what I mean? It's hormones, it's nutrition. You might be eating one thing that's inflammatory that's really affecting you. You know what I mean?
Dude, I've heard so many people talk about inflammation recently, which I know nothing about.
Yeah. Also, gut health is a huge thing. Like you know what I mean? If you're feeling groggy after you eat something, I had my buddy. I wrote a diet plan for my buddy and told him to cut out peanuts. And he was like, peanuts don't affect me. And I'm like, okay, cut them out for 3 days, see how you feel, and then reintroduce it. Cause he was having peanut butter every day before he worked out and telling me how he was feeling groggy while he was working out. So he did it. And then when he reintroduced peanuts, he was like, dude, I feel so tired. Like I had to take a nap. And I'm like, you just didn't realize, some people don't realize what feeling good feels like. They're so used to feeling bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, that's a powerful statement. Yeah. Some people don't know what feeling good feels like. And that's the bug, dude. That's in the words of Ben Newman, that's your burn. Like you want people to feel good, and it's emotional health, mental health,
right.
Mental health, that journey. Like, dude, how do you work through that? Like with people, like when it comes to nutrition, I understand what you eat changes how you feel. Of course, when you're killing in the gym, I'm not going to lie. When I bench pressed 275, I felt like a freaking silverback gorilla, like nothing could stand in my way the rest of the day. It feels good to feel strong. Like how do you kind of coach people mentally? Cause it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you hear people say, and I've said it a ton, and dude, 2020, I want to say to everybody once again, dude, cause I feel like a broken record saying it every single week, but I'm going to continue to say it, dude. Your life matters. Just last week, dude, I heard about another young girl that committed suicide, and it's like, dude, like, I'm not saying it's the answer, but get outside, go on a walk, go to a CrossFit gym, go to the gym, work out, sweat. You got to do something.
Your mind is so powerful. People don't realize how powerful their minds are, and how powerful self-fulfilling prophecy and the negative thoughts and past trauma, and how much that plays into our lives. Like, I get so sad seeing people on this journey and trying to become something that they think that they should, or having their past affect them, constantly living in the past or the future and never being present. And it's like, man, if you could just learn to bring it to present and be thankful for what's around you in the moment, it's really a powerful thing. You know what I mean? And it's just like, we get so caught up constantly chasing goals or constantly looking at the past, and it's like you lose sight of who you are a little bit. So you said your question was, how does that kind of correlate with health and everything? It's so holistic. Like it all works together. Like I'm not myself. If I go 3 or 4 days without working out, I am a different dad. I'm a different husband. I'm a different friend. You know what I mean? And so like, if your mental is bad and your physical is bad, like it's just a downward spiral, you know? And so I want to help people find it. There's not just one clickbait answer that I could give on how you're going to find mental health, but it is a process, and it starts really simple of just like trying to recognize those negative thoughts and not just pushing them aside, but actually like digging in and being like, why am I having these? Like, you might need a therapist, might need a counselor, you might need to start meditating. It's kind of different for everyone. I'm coming up with a curriculum that kind of helps people get from one point to another. And it's a long process. I mean, it was a long process for me, and I'm still on a journey, but I can say when I first went to a mindfulness retreat in 2018, I'm a completely different person than I was then. Like completely different. Like I couldn't believe how many, it's funny. I even said a self-fulfilling prophecy in the meeting, and he's like, that was a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that just like blew my mind. I was like, I didn't even know what that was. I had said like, I'm bad at navigating or something like that. And he's like, you're bad at navigating because you tell yourself you're bad at navigating or whatever. And I'm like, oh shoot, like that's real. I have a lot of those that I do, you know? Yeah. And then I started digging in and being like, oh, if I'm bad at this, I want to be better at it. How do I get better at it? You know? Yeah. And so for me,
do you know who Jim Quick is?
No.
Oh man, you got to follow him on Instagram. I don't know what his handle is. Jim Quick. He's he's an amazing speaker. He's kind of like a mental performance coach, whatever. But he said he gave these like 10 steps for like mental health, and one of them was kill the ants, which were automatic negative thoughts.
Oh, I have that book.
So it's probably him.
Yeah.
Dude, he's I got to hear him speak at the Inc. conference, and then like, dude, awkwardly enough, but it was like I was that guy. Like we got on the escalator at the same time, and like Bridget was like, hey, that's that Jim Quick guy. And I was like, no. And she's like, hey. And like, dude, and then but like stood behind me. So like yells at him, but stands behind me. So then he like turns around. I'm like, your talk was good. You know, like it was fun. He was super nice guy. But yeah, killing those automatic negative thoughts. And it's like, so here's the thing is, you might be bad at navigating,
right,
but you can be good at it. And I think that's where like the problem is. It's not helpful to like pretend like you don't suck. I worked on double unders for 30 minutes yesterday, put together 3 in a row. Sucked.
Yep.
I know I can master it. There's no reason whatsoever. It's like whenever I started Empowered Electric and I had never bid a job.
Right.
I was like, I know I can figure this out. You know who taught me that was freaking Dan Randalls, our brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So one day we're at his house and I remember just thinking this way, like was a shift in my brain. We're at his house. Bridget was living with him way back in the day, him and his wife, Katie, my sister-in-law, and he needs to change the shocks on his car. And he works at Ford Motor Company. He's worked on the line for 20 plus years. And he's like, hey, help me do this. And I was like, do you know how? And he goes, no, but I know the people that work on that side of the line. And if they can do it, I'm sure I can do it.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, he said it not to put those people down, but he was just saying like, yo, if they can do it, I know I can do it. I'm really good at my job. I'm really capable. And it's like, it's okay to say like, hey man, I'm not the best. Like I don't know north, south, east, and west very well. If I really wanted to learn, I can learn.
Right.
I can get good at this. Like I suck now. I won't always suck.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people need to hear that. And I think that's what the Empowered People podcast has been about since day one is like, I joke, and it's not a negative thought, but I joke and I say, man, I hope you listen to this and go, hey man, if this idiot can succeed, so can I. Because like truth is there's a lot of people that have a lot more privilege than me, that have a lot more education and skill and experience and network and connections and all that stuff than me. I have a lot more money. But I'm doing it because I jumped out and tried and I didn't give up. And a lot of people, wherever you're at on your mental, like, dude, you're struggling with depression and like you never think you're going to master it. You can. Like you're struggling with your weight. You can't. Like all those things, like you can. Whatever it is that you look in the mirror and you go, gosh dang, I just wish I was better at blank. I wish I was a better dad.
Yeah.
It's like for me, one of the things recently that I've realized whenever I start to spiral, which there's a great book by Jenny Allen called Get Out of Your Head. Top 10 books of all time. And she talks about the spiral. And it's like, you know the spiral if you deal with anxiety or depression. It feels like a vortex. And I'll realize that will happen when I'm freaking scrolling on my phone, you know, just casually, just like looking at Instagram or looking at TikTok or whatever it is. And one of the ways that whenever I realize I'm spiraling, because I'm not saying social media is all bad, but when I realize I'm going down this negative path, it's like, get the phone out of your hand and play with the boys outside. Right. It's like, I don't care if it's running routes with football, playing catch, frisbee. If you don't have kids, but you have a dog, go on a walk. You do something that's going to make you happy. I've never, ever played catch with the boys and walked inside like, that was stupid. You know what I mean? Right. Just like you have probably never taken your dog on a walk and thought, this dog's ungrateful. That dog is pumped to be outside. Or you called a friend, or you know what I mean? You did something meaningful.
There's so many little things.
Yeah,
pouring into other people. There's so many little things, and everyone kind of knows your past and where you're at now. So I would hate for people that are listening to this and maybe they didn't listen to the past one or just view me as like, oh, I got it figured out or whatnot. But like, it's been a journey for me. You know, I used to be in those places. Like just 3 years ago, I went into the doctor hoping to get like anti-anxiety medicine because I was just struggling with anxiety so bad before I went to this mindfulness retreat. And so it is possible. It's just, it takes a lot of work. You know what I mean? It's not easy. Like it's not easy to put down your phone. The easier thing would just be keep scrolling because that's what you're already doing. And so sometimes it just takes you recognizing it and then just changing your path a little bit, because I used to just be so reactionary. Like I used to be, deal with addiction to drugs and just like a lot of problems, and all of that stem from me not just understanding consequences or like understanding what I put in is going to come out. You know, if you're just looking through TikTok and looking at all these videos or whatever, it's going to affect you negatively, you know?
Oh, dude, 100%. And yeah, I mean, this is a journey, whether it's mental, physical, professional, relational, all this kind of stuff, dude. It never, ever ends. but this podcast has to. But what's exciting about this, and anything that you want to say to wrap it up, I want to give you the opportunity, guys. We're actually going to do a series of these. Brennan's in town for a while. I don't even know how long. Over a month. Two more months. So we're actually going to start having Brennan on regularly. I think this is going to whet his appetite to where whenever he hits Hawaii, Host will be its own podcast. He'll probably do his own thing that you guys could go follow and support. But each and every week, we're going to tackle a different topic about all these different things. Right?
What? So we're wrapping up. What was this week? Because I thought we were going to do goals. But
bro, we were going to talk about goals this week, but it was just so good to catch up.
Right.
It was like, yeah, dude, the items that you wanted to hit were goals, time management, community, missions, value, identity, productivity, gifts, self-care. Like, these are all topics that in the coming weeks we're going to talk and go deep down into. But right now, dude, I think everybody's just loved catching up with you.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's going to be
thoughts?
fire. I'm so just passionate about all those topics. So I hope everybody tunes in, and like, it's just going to, I don't know, it's going to go really well. I'm hoping that we'll leave everybody with a little something that they can kind of do to, if they feel like they've drifted from the path that they want to be on, or where they saw themselves at, that they can kind of bring it back gently, because that's what it's all about. That's what mindfulness is all about, really. It's just like, when you recognize that your mind is wandering, you just gently bring it back to center. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's the same with life. When you're scrolling through TikTok instead of playing with your boys or whatever, you just gently bring it back. You don't get mad at yourself. You don't beat yourself up. It's just a gentle bring back, and then kind of redirect the path from there. Dude. And that's what I want to do with all these topics, is kind of just give people a little takeaway of like how to be 1% better tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. And that's you see it in athletics all the time. Yeah. Whenever someone tries to, let's say they didn't play good quarter 1, 2, and 3, and they're down by 14 points. Hey man, sorry, that's a football. You know, you're down by 14 points. You're not going to win the game in one play.
Right.
If you're only trying to win the play, you know, we're coaching Little League baseball game tonight. It's like, you'll never win the game with just one hit. It's got to be hit after hit after hit. So knowing yourself, knowing what's repeatable, thinking long-term, having a plan, all these kinds of things, dude, all of that applies to the topics that we're going to go deep into. And so I think a lot of people, especially the Empowered People listeners, dude, they're going to benefit a ton from listening to some of your insights with this.
Heck yeah.
So anyways, guys, thanks a ton for listening to this week. If you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube, man, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. It would mean a ton to me, honestly, if you would take the time to write a review, hit it with the 5-star rating. Let us know what you're loving, what you want to hear about. Guys, we're going to keep doing this every single week because I don't know how to shut up. Till next week. Bye-bye.
Hey, shine like gold. They don't want story, man. They want the soundbite. I'm like, no. Look around like they see you on the mountain, they don't see you on the climb. Right? Me and all of mine in the power line. Look at this and what